What is up, guys? This is your boy Zilla, and welcome to today's episodes. I'll be breaking down the acquisition of Activision by Xbox and the long-term effects it's going to have on the gaming industry for the next 5 to 10 years. But before I do that, please hit that subscribe button. Also hit the notification bell so you get notification every time I make a video, guys. So let's get this, because this move is going to change everything. There is no going back to the way things were now that this deal has been kicked off and the IP wars have begun. The groundwork for this deal was set when Microsoft decided to go in an extra aggressive push to fill up the Game Pass subscription model so they can dominate the future, and plus acquire all these bigger companies so they can become a superpower in the future and have all these studios under their umbrella. This plan was of course kicked off when they bought Bethesda, and now they're turning around and buying Activision, which, let's just take it, the immediate effect that it's going to have on Microsoft in their war against Sony and trying to buy up all these IPs, because we all know that their quarter earnings call for 2019, they told you what they wanted to do. They want to have a AAA game every quarter, a big time AAA game, which means every 3 months they want a huge game, hyped up game coming to Game Pass. And that is why they are pushing so hard to fill up the subscription model with quality titles, with other quantity titles surrounding them exclusively to their platform and to the service of Game Pass. And when you look at their roster of studios now, with Xbox internal game studios having Rare, Double Fine, In Exile, The Initiative, Turn 10, 343, The Coalition, Mojang Studios, Undead Labs, Obsidian Games, Compulsion Games, Ninja Theory, and Playground Games, just as that internal studios that they have bought, before they started making these huge acquisitions. Then in 2020, they started buying Bethesda, which houses their main Bethesda game studios. Then they have ID Software, Tango Games, Machine Games, Arcane, ZeniMax Online, Alpha Dog, and Roundhouse Studios. And that's crazy. That adds a whole lot of depth to the AAA part of their service. And then now they're gonna add Treyarch, Raven, High Moon, Infinity Ward, Toys for Bob, Beanox, Sledgehammer Games, Blizzard Entertainment, and Kong, the makers of Candy Crush. And that is just a huge bolstering of their roster, because you gotta think about it. This opens the door for a whole bunch of collaborative projects between these three studios or three subsidiaries of Xbox or Microsoft. And you could just think about it like this: if Bethesda wanted to make a game that had, driving in it, they could team up with Turn 10 to make that mechanic for that game, which increases the polish of the games that we might be getting from Microsoft. You could have Arcane do the RPG mechanics in a Raven Software and High Moon Studio collaboration. Infinity Ward could help with the gunplay in one of Bethesda's games. The possibilities are truly endless, and in the end, we the consumer win, because we're getting more quality games with the objective of being the highest quality product that Microsoft can possibly put out, so you can get their service. So their goals are aligned with our goals, which is to get the best games, which in the end is a win for us. Now this leads me to the next phase of why this move is so important, which is the continuous expansion and acquisition of these big companies. Listen, the purchase of Activision cost $70 billion, and it only took up Microsoft's budget 2%, which they're gonna make back in the Call of Duty games alone. That should tell you how massive Microsoft is and how dedicated they are to bolstering their lineup. And because the AAA market's lineup is so weak right now, a whole lot of the bigger companies in the industry right now are hurting. Think about it. EA just released one of the worst Battlefields ever. They're at their weakest. Microsoft could gobble them up. Ubisoft's games are now making less money because they're using the same repetitive formula as they did with the original Far Cry and Assassin's Creed games, which they're heavily relying on. They're a weakened company. CDPR, the ones that released Cyberpunk 2077, and they got all those class action lawsuits against them. They're a weakened company. And it's not just the big ones you have to worry about. Some of the smaller ones, IO Interactive with Hitman, there's been hints that they're going to get bought out, and the 007 game that they're making is is going to be exclusive to Microsoft. I mean, it just sky's the limit with them. And as scary as this is, it can go as big as buying 2K and Rockstar and GTA 6 being exclusive only to the Xbox platform. And it can be as small as them buying a beloved indie studio. You just don't know what they're going to do. And because they want the small content with the big content, it's just going to be an unpredictable thing. And we don't know who Microsoft's going with next. It could be Sega, it could be Konami, it could be anybody that's not locked down to the PlayStation platform. And here's where things gonna start to get scary, because if this keeps happening, because these are two quick succession turnaround big purchases that have rocked the industry. Eventually PlayStation is going to respond with something to try and keep up with the exclusive demand, because soon Microsoft is going to be outpacing them in exclusives, and that's a mainstay for Sony. And don't be surprised if Sony buys 2K just to start monopolizing some of their franchises. And it's going to get as bad as monopolizing sports games, because once that starts happening, when it says only on PlayStation or only on Xbox for 2K and Madden and FIFA, that's when it's gonna start getting scary, because then it's gonna be a whole downturn of studios being separated from the multi-platform market and being locked down just to one console. It's gonna be these huge rosters for Sony and Microsoft, but then we're going to get a void in the middle where EA and Ubisoft and these other companies would have been. Now it's going to take a little while for newer companies to make these new products and get big, like kind of like Epic with Fortnite, to get big and cement themselves as the new EA, the new Ubisoft of their era or of the next generation. But the huge problem with that is, if you buy one console and you know they have Ubisoft, EA, and then another console, which is maybe Sony, has these other games that you want, you're going to be forced to kind of buy both, especially if you're a sports fan, a casual fan who just likes Call of Duty and Battlefield, or you know the 2K and Madden. Especially y'all are gonna get messed up, because when those games go exclusive to a console, y'all are gonna be monopolized to that console. And if there's any other really good games that you want to buy, they're probably gonna be exclusive to the other platform. It's gonna be forcing you to buy a whole nother really expensive console just to play those line of games. And then you gotta also think games are $70 a pop now. And then on top of that, you think Game Pass is gonna stay $10 to $15 forever? No. Once these big time games start coming up, they're gonna start increasing the price, and before long you're gonna be paying $25 or $20 and then $30. Like, it's gonna get progressively more expensive the more value Game Pass holds. So it's gonna be in some aspects bad for the consumer, because now all the IPs that you love are either $70 to $100, or they're locked behind a really expensive subscription to Game Pass. And with no middleman or no really strong middle AAA companies to make up for it, until you know it's gonna take them a while, probably 10 years to come up and replace those companies. You're going to be paying a lot of money and not having these companies trying to compete by maybe putting their prices of their games down maybe $60 to $50 to try and compete with those higher price points that these two big time gaming publishers are going to do to you. Like, and all this stuff is going to come sooner than you think. It's going to come maybe in the next 3 to 5 years, and all the major stuff, the separation, you know, the constant studios coming and rising from the ashes to take the place of the old guard gaming companies, that's going to be more to the 5 to 7 years. But by the next generation, the whole gaming landscape is going to look completely different and will never go back to the same way it was before this deal went down. But guys, go in the comment section, tell me, what is your most hype Xbox exclusive now that this deal has went down? Secondly, tell me which studio or company is going to get bought up next by Microsoft. And then lastly, what is Sony going to counter with to try and even the odds against Microsoft? And I just want to also take a second to highlight a very great game that I've been playing lately. I'm not sponsored by the company or getting paid for it. I just genuinely love this game and want so many people to play because it's so underrated. I've never heard anybody talk about it, and that is Necromunda Hired Gun. This is one of the most polished PS5 shooters on the market right now. The gunplay is fantastic, the powers are amazing, the missions are just absolutely incredible. Like, please go download this game and give it a try. I think it's like $25 right now. It's constantly going on sale. It's only like, what, 4 or 5 months old. Please try this game because you will not regret it. This is one of the most polished shooters that I have played this year. And rather me giving my money to EA or Ubisoft for having their broken, uninspired shooters, I would rather give it to this company for making a fully fledged great product. And I think you're going to agree with that too if you try this game. Without further ado, this has been the best Gojira in gaming news and reviews. I will see you guys later.